Breaking the News with Des Clark.
I am Des Clark and this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. With me are four brilliant comedians. On my right we have Mark Nelson and Felicity Ward, and facing them are Kathleen Hughes and James Gardner. In the news this week, Scottish Labour MP Joni Reid has said that she has never seen anything to make her suspect that her husband was a spy. Apart from that one time they were in a Chinese restaurant and the message in his fortune cookie was on a wee cassette tape. Perthshire's Hamish Mitchell and Katie O'Sullivan are part of a 6-strong Scottish team doing battle at the World Cup of Sheep Shearing in New Zealand. Points are awarded for the speed of clipping and for the sheep's reaction when they hold up the wee mirror. And three-time world snooker champion Mark Williams has revealed he has a serious phobia of tea bags. It doesn't affect him during matches, although it might explain why he had a panic attack when he overheard the commentator saying his opponent was about to make a pot. Right, we met the teams. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Mark and Felicity, can you tell me what this is all about?
President Trump has criticised
the Scottish Government
for initially not letting US forces use
Cal McFerry MV Lord of the Isles
for initial strikes on Iran. Mr Trump said we are not dealing with Winston Churchill in reference to
Deputy First Minister Kate Forbes.
Oh, Mark, a lot going on this week, I think it's fair to say. What do you think our first story might be?
This is World War III. Or at least the latest World War III.
It's the right answer. Yes, indeed, Mark, that is correct. The US, along with Israel, launched what they called major combat operations in Iran over the past weekend, creating yet more instability in the region and straining this special relationship. Sir Keir Starmer told MPs that the UK government does not believe in regime change from the skies, which led to President Trump telling reporters that the Prime Minister is no Winston Churchill. Offended by that, Sir Keir Starmer decided to show Trump how wrong he was, so turned up for Prime Minister's questions, half-cut, holding a cigar. Well, there we go, Mark. Fair to say one of the biggest stories in a long time. What is your reaction to these events?
Well, they don't know how long it's going to take. US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth said it will not be an endless war, but he can't give a time frame, but it'll probably be as long as it takes to make the Epstein files go away.
What do you think about this, Felicity? One of the biggest news stories in a long time. Your reaction to these events?
Well, on Pete Hegseth, he called it not a politically correct war. And what is not a politically correct war? Is that when transphobes wage a fight between trans and cis women over whether they can use a bathroom? No, that's called a turf war. Anyway... Sorry, just the phrase, not a politically correct war. It's like, don't worry, this isn't one of those wars that gay guys like, we're edgy. Like, this war's for real men. Like, we don't even ask for permission. Well, don't worry, the last thing we think that's coming out of this administration is consent.
Kathleen, what are your thoughts then, reaction to these events?
Des, I don't know. I don't know why I've been asked. I don't know why I'm here. I studied Spanish, all right? I don't know why I'm here. On one hand, I don't think I have any authority to be speaking on this, and on the other hand, I do think that's a cynical way to live, to just not have an opinion in case it's the wrong one. So if I had to say anything to the leaders who've led us to this point, it would be, buenos dias. ¿Cómo estás? Bien? Probably not.
Well, there we go. We're getting a take on the war. James, it's been a big story. Huge, my friend. What is your take on these events?
Ay, caramba. No, I The most mental part of this, obviously, we're on the brink of World War III. Lots of moving parts and impulsive decisions being made in real time that, you know, could spark a chain of global violence. And you've got to keep pace with Donald Trump, right? The leader of the quote-unquote free world. And to do that, you need to check his social media. Like, he's so toxic, he got kicked off of X and set up his own platform called The Truth Social. So before you try and broker a peace deal, you need to go and search the App Store. Figure out how to download it, upload a profile picture, verify your account before you enter. I mean, you just press the red button. It's fine.
Well, look, there are many consequences of this conflict, but obviously one of them is that we've now got Sir Keir Starmer at odds with President Trump. How do you think this will affect the special relationship, Mark?
Do you think when he said Starmer's no Churchill, he meant the dog? He was in the back of my car, and at no point did he ever go, "Oh, yes."
That starts to make a lot more sense now. Well, there we go. We got the answer, and that is how you do it. And, of course, we're talking about a massive and ongoing news story. The current conflict in the Middle East. Iranian strikes have been carried out on Oman, which, of course, shares a border with Gizo. And no way. Right, it's over to you, Kathleen and James. What was the other story we were after?
This was the Scottish Government giving Ferguson Marine contracts to build more boats.
That's the right answer, yes, indeed. The Scottish Government is to directly award contracts to build 4 new ships to Ferguson Marine. This includes 2 ferries to serve Barra and Harris, as well as a research ship and a marine protection vessel. Officials confirmed the new ferries ordered are longer than the berth at Ardrossan, which suggests the next big procurement process for the Scottish Government is buying a tape measure. Initial thoughts on this then, Kathleen. Is this the right move from the Scottish Government?
Yeah, to be honest, it's just a treat to read an article about boats in the Daily Mail that doesn't have stop there anywhere. I think it's the right move. In the west of Scotland, we are very proud of our shipbuilding heritage along the Clyde, so we do need to invest in modern shipyards. So I'm really invested in this story and excited to pretend I know anything about boats for the next 10 minutes. I think it's the role of the Scottish Government to batten down the hatches and anchor some opportunities in these communities. Are we going to abandon ship and scuttle this plan? Am I right, skipper? I would never skip on a boat, that's dangerous. Bilge pump?
We're up for that.
Yeah, we love a bit of bilge. Why don't you ask James sitting at my port side here? Saw the boats I've got.
Ironically, if you kept going, somebody was going to deck you.
Questions do need to be asked. I mean, like Glen Sannock, 6 years late, almost 4 times the cost. And the biggest problem was they started building the ship without the design being finished. And, you know, they must have been rinsing them for cost left, right and centre. The Scottish Government were just like, oh, is that a phalange? All right, OK, well... Sure.
What do you think then, Mark? It's a bold move here, but is this the right move from the Scottish Government?
I think so, because I use the ferries quite a lot. I think it's excellent, and I think it's really, really good that we have as many boats as possible available to us to use on the 6 days a year where the weather is good enough to sail.
It's a fair point, well made. As part of this, we're seeing the nationalisation of Ardrossan Harbour. Should Ardrossan Harbour be nationalised?
Yeah, why not? I love the way that this was phrased in one of the headlines as Ardrossan Harbour goes public, like it's going through a very messy divorce. Can't wait to hear Port Glasgow's side of things.
Felicity, obviously, I know you're very qualified and you love the fact I'm going to put you in the spot here and say, should Ardrossan Harbour be nationalised?
I am very pro-nationalisation of everything. I don't think there are many things that you can say, oh, thank God we privatised it. Like, no one ever says that. Like, you think National Rail, water, the Epstein files, they're just better when they're public, you know?
Yeah. I am in favour of nationalisations of things, right? However, the last major thing that was nationalised was the railways. in this country, and it's not gone great. There's a lot of delays, a lot of replacements, and I think the last thing anyone wants is a dingy replacement service in the middle of the Firth of Clyde, so...
What in Scotland should be publicly owned and why?
Justice. Like, I just give it back to the people. I think that anyone who gets charged with a low-level crime, the punishment is just being roasted by your own people, because there is nothing more brutal than a Scottish person's opinion on anything.
Yes, following recent revelations, the shipyard has now been confirmed as only the second worst Ferguson after Sarah. Yes, at the end of that round, it is 2 points apiece. Now, much of our news is about public opinion, so to find out what stories people are talking about, we spoke to two friends of the show, legendary weather presenter Judith Ralston and author and presenter Damien Barr. So, Kathleen and James, what is Damien on about here?
This is a whopper of a story. Basically, it's like having Elon Musk in a kitchen flipping burgers, only even less appetising than it sounds. Do you want fries with that, or do you want microchips?
Burger King are set to trial AI sort of software with their customer service.
That's a great spot. That's the right answer. Well done, James. Yes, Burger King is testing artificial intelligence-powered employee headsets that monitor staff interactions and compiles friendliness scores. The AI system, called BK Assistant, is currently piloting in 500 US restaurants. Other fast food outlets are also trialling the AI monitoring and have compiled a list of key phrases used by staff. The top used phrase in McDonald's is "have a nice day." In KFC, it's is it gravy or beans with that? And in Greg's is there still a heat in the pies, Margaret? That's a fiver in. What do we think then, James? Thoughts? Is this a good use of AI?
I don't think AI is good anyway. You know, it's water intensive. We're entering the era of global water bankruptcy. It already uses, you know, amount of fresh water to cool its data centres, about half a litre for every question you ask it. On top of that, 1 kilogram of beef requires approximately 15,000 gallons of water, whereas potatoes only needs, 300 gallons per kilogram. So you could just have chips. Potato King doesn't have the same ring to it, so...
I've worked in hospitality and I've been drunk and belligerent in a Burger King. Furious that I wasn't being given my McNuggets, right? So I don't... I actually don't think that hospitality workers should have to act happy at their work all the time. No one else does. I think it's really unrealistic. Or at least, if we're going to do that, they should get to say something mad to a customer like once a week. Do you know what I mean? So I used to work in a restaurant in the West End, and I would go up to tables and I would say, "How is everything for you?" They'd say delicious, so I'd say, "Oh, excellent," right? And I went up to a table one time. She took my line. I said, "How is everything for you?" She said, "Excellent," so I said, "Delicious." And that wasn't on purpose, but I felt powerful. Do you know what I mean? That should be allowed.
I always imagine, and I think that this is pretty accurate, that people who create AI, they're always just sad, lonely, angry nerds from high school, because all they do is they focus on taking jobs away from the working class, the arts, or women. Coincidentally, all the areas that they could never penetrate.
What about you in your life? Who's the most friendly person you've ever met?
Well, not met in person. I got an email one day from a lovely chap who's a Nigerian prince. This man, Des, is doing so well and is so kind of spirit, he is willing to give me half of his fortune, and all I need to do is send him my passport and my DNA.
The AI friendliness monitoring software has also been tested in other sectors. Apparently, during the GP receptionist trial, the headset just burst into flames. Over to you now, Mark and Felicity. It's your turn. What do you think Judith is talking about here?
I suppose it's good to hear it officially. The preparation for an event, or in my case, a few events like this, are incredible. I'm curious to find out what happens to men's brains. I suspect it's either fight or flight.
There was a study that came out about mothers who lose grey matter when they're pregnant.
Yes, this is the news that a recent study suggests that pregnancy has a profound structural impact on brains, offering new clues into the neurological changes in mums-to-be. And rather than it being a cause for concern, the changes may actually be useful when it comes to caring for newborns. One of the areas of grey matter with the most pronounced and persistent changes was the so-called default mode network, which is involved in self-perception, empathy and altruism. The recent study into the effects of baby brain scanned 127 women, all of whom were contacted through Boris Johnson's address book. Felicity, well done in getting the right answer. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on this study?
So, before I had a baby, I thought that baby brain was something that my friends used to say to cover up for the fact that they were idiots. Now, then I had a baby, and it turns out it is science, and I got pregnant and I got science very badly. I still can't remember anything. I had a kid 6 years ago. The other day, I tried to remember the word for cemetery, and I called it a death garden. Do you know what I mean? I'm not right, but I'm not wrong. I couldn't think of the word roof, and I just found myself screaming, you know, the hat for your house.
It's quite a fascinating thing that 5% of grey matter just disappears. And then if you're wondering what it is replaced by, when your wife is tired after she's just given birth, if you ever say, I am also tired, you'll find out that 5% is replaced with sheer anger.
Kathleen, what are your thoughts on this study?
This was so interesting for me to read because it's definitely true. Like, I remember just feeling like the brain cells were dropping right off me. Never been pregnant.
Well, there we go. That is the study that was out this week. But what else about the human body amazes you? Felicity.
There is nothing more punk than childbirth. It is the most hardcore thing. And now that I've been through it, I cannot believe it's not on the news every single night of the week. Like, even the concept, woman pushes smaller woman out of herself. That is a Daily Mail headline minimum. That is an X-Files plot line. Like, at 9 months pregnant, I could hold my nose, sneeze, and babushka doll myself. What are you talking about? And I'm so evangelical about it. I have to be really careful about my kid because he comes home and he's got a little drawing and he's like, look what I made, mummy. And it takes me every fibre of my being not to grab him by the scruff of the neck, take him to a mirror and just go, look what I made!
Oh, this is great. James, what are you thinking then? We're talking about the wonder that is the human body. What else about the human body amazes you?
For me, it's the eyes. My older brother Alexander's got quadriplegic cerebral palsy. He's non-verbal. I'm super verbal. And he communicates solely with his eyes, right? Not the way that my dad communicates with his eyes. That's all you get out of him half the time, do you know what I mean? How you doing, Dad? All right? Aye. But so how Alexander communicates genuinely is amazing. He looks up for yes and he looks down for no. When he puts his head forward like that, he's asking you for a square go.
I found the fact that the average person farts enough in a year to fill a balloon. That's why I lost my job as a party planner.
And there we have it. New research into the baby's effect on the brain is the right answer. 2 points goes to Mark and Felicity. This is Breaking the News from BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who is in the news. I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So, Mark and Felicity, you're first this time. Who is this?
And when I get there, I will make space for everyone doing jobs like mine. We will finally get a seat at the table.
It is a new Member of Parliament, Hannah Spencer.
Yes, that was Hannah Spencer. She is a plumber, a qualified plasterer, and the woman who has just become Parliament's newest MP in what has been called an historic series of firsts. As a new MP, Hannah Spencer will now get a salary of £93,904, though she will do it for 80 grand cash. What are you thinking, Mark? What's your take on Hannah's victory?
Well, yeah, very, very good. Very, very good for the country. And obviously last week was her first Prime Minister's Question Times, and being a plumber and plaster, she didn't turn up, but...
Kathleen, what's your take on this? What do you make of Hannah Spencer's victory?
It'll be refreshing to finally have someone in Parliament who can stop a leak instead of starting.
I love the fact that she was elected on what was claimed to be the sectarian vote that was weaponised. I thought, how the sectarian vote for, the Eco Party, do you know what I mean, into recycling. I just thought, some great songs involved there. She could be singing, "Oh, the blue bins are blue."
So we're talking about, obviously, a great victory for Hannah Spencer, and as we mentioned, a plumber, a qualified plasterer. But what profession do you think would make the best politician?
Well, it's not a profession, but I just think there needs to be more people with autism in politics, because you get straight answers, merciless honesty, and the ability to hyper-focus. And I just think, who would you rather looking after your Department of Transport? A career politician or someone whose special interest is trains?
Makes a lot of sense. Many politicians held normal jobs before entering politics. You may know this. Sir Keir Starmer used to be a lawyer, Kemi Badenoch used to work at McDonald's, and Jacob Rees-Mogg used to appear in silent films tying women to railroad tracks. Yes, well done. 2 points go to Mark and Felicity. That was Hannah Spencer. Right, Kathleen and James, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
It was very tight under the armpits. I feel everyone is wearing a bra right now. I feel for you. Yeah. I didn't know how much you suffered during the day. When my wife gets home and says, "Oh, I can't wait to get my bra off," now I know what she's talking about.
It's Jonathan Ross.
And why do we think Jonathan Ross might be in the news this week?
He's got a new programme where people get handcuffed together.
And that is the right answer. I know it seems ridiculous, but yes, that is correct, Kathleen. Jonathan Ross is in the headlines this week with his new unusual TV show where contestants are handcuffed together 24/7 in an attempt to win £100,000. 9 couples are handcuffed together and sent on a road trip around the UK before the Ministry of Justice realises they were released by mistake.
I saw this described as Jonathan Ross's wild new show where contestants shower and poop while handcuffed together. And I understand that that's just part of it. But on the first read, I did think that was the premise.
Felicity, I mean, we talk about these reality shows and you just hear the description of this, and it is just people handcuffed together. What do you make of Jonathan Ross's new show?
Yeah, well, it seems that they're really pushing this idea that contestants shower and poo together. That's like their big byline. And I just think that they should do that to anyone who's about to have a child, because you will never pass stool alone ever again once you have one.
James, what about you? We're talking about being handcuffed to somebody for this TV show, but if you were to be handcuffed to someone for 24 hours, who would it be and why?
As a proud Glaswegian and a huge fan of architecture, I would love to be handcuffed to Charles Rennie Mackintosh for 24 hours, because I would love to ask him about his greatest ever achievement in the art school, and did he ever think it would get burned down? Twice.
This is good. So we're going historical with some of these answers. Mark, what about you? If you were handcuffed to someone for 24 hours, who would that be and why?
I would get handcuffed to that wee guy who's not cutting his hair until Man United win 5 games in a row, so that I could repeatedly punch him every single minute.
And well done on getting the answer. Of course, it was TV icon with his brand new show, Jonathan Ross. Finally escaping being chained to somebody you hate to win 100 grand is also how Margaret in my local describes the payout on her husband's life insurance. And well done, yes, of course, Jonathan Ross is the correct answer. And 2 points go to Kathleen and James. It's time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
Could you get the cat out of the soup?
Oh, that's Dame Prue Leith there trying out a new recipe for cock-a-leaky. Right, fingers on buzzers. 16% of the over 45s are what? Felicity.
Wondering what a pension is. Guess who's 45? Me!
Oh, so true. 16% of the over 45s are what? James.
Unable to use FaceTime properly. I'm looking at most of you in this audience.
16% of the over 45s are what? Kathleen.
Discovering noises they didn't know their own bodies could make.
These are beautiful answers, but it's something else we're looking for. I'll give it one more go around the houses. 16% of the over 45s are what? Mark?
46 years old.
Well, the answer we were looking for was this. 16% of the over 45s are flat sharing.
Could you get the cat out of the soup?
Oh, there's the klaxon. Dame Prue has leafed. It means it's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Mark Nelson and Felicity Ward. And commiserations to Kathleen Hughes and James Gardner. And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news just in. A woman from Cardiff has revealed an ingenious scheme to cut costs when flying. Laura Poole posted a month's worth of clothing for £2.59 to avoid a flight's £30 luggage charge. She has been described as cunning, a money-saving genius, and that woman in baggage reclaim in her underwear. The community-owned Golson Estate in Lewis is appealing for local residents to become registered goose shooters, while a nearby goose population is appealing for local residents to not. And a plaque marking a visit from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been removed from the exterior of an historic Inverness townhouse and put into storage. Hidden from public view inside a grand listed building, Andrew is the King's brother. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!
Churchill, go on, say that famous. Oh, yes. Go on, say it. I love it, I do. Oh, yes, go on.
Oh yes.